Welcome to episode 2 of the Decaffeinado Corner. We are here with my Freestyle partner, Casey Knotts. Casey, what's happening?
Not too much. Just enjoying a really freaking beautiful Sunday afternoon. It's like in the 60s here, so I have no complaints.
It is gorgeous here as well. Perfect day to just sit back and try some new coffee.
And keep relaxing.
Yes. Well, thank you for doing this. I know it's been a little bit of an ordeal to get our AV setup tuned here, but I think we got it, and excited to just talk coffee with you for a bit. Looks like you got a Chemex going there.
Yeah, got that Peru that Nathan roasted up for us.
Okay, yes.
Is that what you've got going too?
That is exactly what I've got.
Rocking the same thing?
Yes, I just made an Americano here. It's a strong Americano version. So I might be tasting a little bit different than what you're tasting, but we should be pretty well in sync here. This is a Peru fair trade mountain water process from the Cajamarca region of Peru. What do you think?
It's so light. I thought this was going to be like a really deep medium roast, and it definitely is. Like it hits you on the back end of your tongue. But holy smokes, like I know you're not supposed to chug coffee, but I feel like I could chug this.
My initial reaction, very first sip was I got black tea notes. Like this. Yeah. This almost tastes more like tea than coffee to me. I got very strong tea notes.
Yeah, it's so light. Again, that bitterness hits you at the end, but you're right about the tea. It's got those like warm, earthy notes to it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm like swirling my Chemex and then I'm like, the tannins. I'm like pretending this is a glass of wine. Maybe I want to be too relaxed right now, but really though, the tannins I can like, when they hit the back of your tongue, God, I love that really light bitter flavor because it's not bitter, but like you get that hint of bitter at the end.
Yeah. This coffee is grown. I mean, this region of Peru, Cajamarca, is literally in the mountains. It is in the Andes mountains. So this stuff is grown at like almost 9,000 feet.
Wow.
And so you would expect, a lot more, complex flavors. You would expect, naturally you're going to get that sort of brighter flavor, right? With the high altitude. Typically you get things that are a little more fruity and floral. This does not strike me as too fruity.
I did not pick up on fruit. Yeah.
No, I get a little bit of like, almost clove maybe. It definitely is a complex flavor. But not fruity. I wouldn't describe it that way at all.
No, maybe like a really hearty stone fruit, something that's a little heavier, a little warmer, which I guess makes sense because when I think of like a really heavy plum, I'm like, oh yeah, cloves and plum, like that would be delicious together. So yeah, I think we're coming at this from the same angle. Either way, it's like warm, flavorful, light, like it's really hitting. Like honestly, this is maybe the perfect afternoon cup of coffee because in the morning I like something that's gonna, like hit me, like it's gonna wake you up. It's gonna be, bold, a little bolder. This is like, I'm just hanging out with my buddy Brad and we're just chatting and it doesn't need to be anything too heavy, too hard. Like,
yeah. Yeah, this is good. I like it. Now, unfortunately, I'm not sure we want another Peru in the mix just yet. But there's nothing that says we can't. There's no rule that says we can't double up on a single origin.
Five varieties right now. I think if we were going to add something in, I would like something a little fruitier, something with maybe some citrus, something brighter. You know, I know we've got like marshmallows and like earthy, ashy with the Sure Shot, but if we could get something that was like berries or citrus, like that could be fun. That could be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, we don't
I know
have.
Seth quizzed you a week or two ago, maybe, about like, oh, the flavor notes of this region versus that region, and you were like knocking them out like the back of your hand. So I don't know where we would get something that was like fruity or brighter, but I bet that you could tell me right now where we
Well,
could
I
find
mean,
something.
yeah, I mean, I think we're in the right general area, right?
Region.
You would expect to get, yeah, the higher elevations in the southern hemisphere is probably where you're going to find the fruitiest stuff. Um, so we got to keep looking. We did have a Brazil that I thought had some great fruit notes, and we have another Brazil. If we've got time today, we can even try that today yet and see how it compares. I tend to find we've been looking at a lot of Brazil lately because we have a lot of connections with Brazil. Would love to have a Brazil in the offering, and I tend to find those sort of jammier, kind of rich fruit, dark black raspberry, fig, those kind of notes I tend to find in Brazil coffees. So maybe maybe we'll get lucky and find one that we can.
So where,
run with.
because this coffee is really low acidity, I think. Where would we get something with a higher acidity?
Again,
What's your,
Again, in
you're
higher
laughing.
altitudes, you're generally going to find the higher
A higher acidity.
So similar. I don't. This doesn't strike me as highly acidic.
This is just lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, this is maybe we've been tricked. Maybe it was mislabeled. It could just be too that this is this is our standard cupping roast, which is straight down the middle, right? We did not roast this to try to bring out any particular sort of flavor notes, right? So that could have something to do with it, right? When we're cupping or tasting a new coffee, we intentionally try to keep it boring so that we're comparing apples to apples, right? So that we don't pick a coffee because it has a really great roast. And so that could have a little bit to do with it.
What was this roasted to be? Was this roasted to be a light roast or medium?
I would call it a medium roast. Yeah, it's our standard cupping roast. It's about 7 minutes on the sample roaster with a pretty flat profile. So nothing special, but I'll bet we could do more.
Yeah,
with
I mean,
this.
Yeah, this is perfect, but I'm curious now what this would taste like roasted just a little bit longer. You know, like maybe we turn this into a dark roast and see what that's about.
Yeah. All right. Well, Casey, since this is your first time, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're not right here with us today, although looking forward to being together next week. But today, tell us where you are. Tell us what you're up to.
I am in the beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio. Not related to coffee at all, but we planted a tree out front of our house last year, and yesterday it bloomed for the first time. It's a Kwanzan cherry tree, a flowering Kwanzan cherry. It will not produce fruit, but it does produce flowers. So yesterday it like hot pink blooms just like erupted, and I was like so stoked. So that's the kind of like rosy, beautiful, gorgeous weather that we're having.
Nice.
Live here in Cincinnati, been here 7 or 8 years now. It's getting hard to count. Yeah, moved here from Salt Lake City with my husband 7 or 8 years ago. Before that, I was in Valencia, Spain. Before that, Boston, Massachusetts, which is not where I fell in love with coffee. I think I was always in love with coffee from like, 17, 18 years old, coffee was always kind of like an escape for me. You know, I had a really hectic home life, school, you know, high school is just a crazy time, I think, for everybody. So just between all of the family chaos, home chaos, school, etc., coffee was like a really great way to just kind of turn everything else off and like start to analyze flavors and acidity and roasts and this and that. Or even if, you know, I'm from a small little town in Illinois, even if it was just going to like plug your ears, but like Starbucks and being able to escape for like an hour. Because that was back in the day, like people would post up at Starbucks for like 4, 5, 6 hours at a time. You know, you'd plug your laptop in, bring your charger, your like wired headphones, and like you're set. Get your like unlimited refill coffee and just vibe.
Well, I'm dating myself,
But
but when I was in high school, Starbucks didn't exist. So,
oh my gosh, Brad, you're
but yes, I know
giving
what
too
you
much
mean.
away.
I know what you mean.
But when
So
I went to Boston, sorry to interrupt,
yeah, go ahead.
I got my first college job at a coffee house. It was called Espresso Royale at the time. It was like one of the most famous coffee houses in Boston. You've got a couple others. You've got like Thinking Cup, Render Coffee, a few other really great ones, but we all kind of competed for the top 3 spots. And Espresso Royale really shortened my tenure, rebranded as Pavement Coffee House. And within 6 months, I was like a manager there. Got trade certified by Counterculture, which is where
Nice.
we got all of our beans from. Yeah, and was trained on a La Marzocco, which you know is still like my dream home machine. So I worked there for about 4 years, just like really, really learning and loving coffee. And now here I am today drinking this awesome Peru.
Nice. What what was your favorite drink when you were working in the coffee shop?
It's so boring, but like an Americano. Like I loved an Americano because, and this is a pain point that Freestyle is solving, you can never get a plain cup of decaf coffee. Like no coffee shop has like a pot of decaf. So it's like the best you can get is an Americano. And you know, I'm like a freak in the coffee industry where I'm like, 1, I drink decaf, and 2, I don't drink dairy. So it's like, if I'm gonna get a latte, I'm gonna be like, hi, can I get a soy milk decaf latte? And like 1 out of every 3 baristas is gonna be like, what's the point? Like it's totally fake.
Uh-huh.
Like just drink the cow's milk or just drink the caffeine. And I'm like, no and no. So yeah, just a basic, perfect 12-ounce Americano.
Nice. And were decaf even back then?
I was part-time decaf back then. I've been full decaf for 7 years now, just because I discovered that I had a caffeine addiction. But even back then, like caffeine would make my joints hurt a little bit. You know, if I would have too many in a day, and so I would, you know, have 1 caffeinated, sometimes 2 if I was really pushing it. But like I was that barista who always had a drink next to the machine for myself. So I would do, you know, 2 or 3 decafs a day, 1 or 2 regular cups of coffee a day, especially if I'm having like an 8 or 9 or 10-hour shift.
Talk a little bit about how you made the transition and went full decaf. You said how long now that you've been fully
7
decaf?
years.
7 years.
Yeah. It was shortly after we moved to Cincinnati. I was working a job in IT at Great American Insurance, and it was a pretty demanding job. I have never been a morning person, and this was like your butt has to be in your seat by 7:30, and that was like a stretch for me.
Ooh.
So I thought coffee was the answer, and so I'm like just slamming cups of coffee at my desk. You know, every 30 minutes I'm back in the break room filling up for another cup of coffee, just trying to keep my eyes open. And then one day we were traveling. We were going on vacation, and woke up too early, got to the airport. I didn't get a coffee, got on the plane, and I just had the worst headache of my life. Even before the plane took off, I'm just like sitting in my seat, and I'm just like, man, my head is splitting. And Brendan was like, oh, you didn't have any coffee today. That's probably it. Just the way he said it was so cavalier. And I was like, yeah, you are 100% right. Like, but the fact that he was so cavalier about it, and it's so commonplace, like everybody deals with that. You go one day without your cup of coffee and you've got a splitting headache. I was like, that's not cool. I never want this to happen to me ever again. That headache hurts so damn bad. So I was like, I need a little reset. I need to not be addicted to caffeine. So I'm going to take 2 weeks off and just see what happens, and then I'll like slowly reintegrate, but I'll be more balanced about it. So I did 2 weeks, and the first 3, 4 days were horrible. I mean, horrible. Just like, I mean, caffeine is a drug. So you're just going through real withdrawal symptoms. Your sleep gets interrupted, your head hurts, you're really groggy, you're really cranky, really irritable. So that was not fun. Day 4, 5, 6, you really turn a corner, and that's when you start to feel a little bit fresher, less trouble falling asleep, less trouble staying asleep, and just feeling really good overall. The one side effect that I didn't expect that I should have, I mean, coffee literally stimulates your central nervous system, is that my anxiety took a nosedive.
Nice.
I bet I was 80% less anxious by day 6. And that was so freeing. I've always had an anxiety disorder. I've always been a little high strung, a little crazy. But cutting caffeine out of my life mitigated that problem like nothing else would have. I didn't have to be medicated. I didn't have to take anxiety drugs, whatever. All I had to do was quit caffeine, and my brain was just so much more relaxed.
That's amazing. And it is just, it's sad to think about, really, because we have just so normalized caffeine addiction, and I just wonder how many people out there are taking one drug to counteract the effects of the other drug that
Yeah,
they're addicted
everybody. Everybody who's on anxiety meds. I'm like, just try it. Just try it. Like, what have you got to lose?
to. Yeah.
What about your journey? You're caffeine free for how many years now?
I'm about 10 years now. Yeah,
Oh my
about
God, you've got
a
me
decade.
beat.
I wish I would have actually it didn't seem like that big of a deal to me at the time, but I would now, kind of going back, I kind of wish I had marked it on the calendar. Like, this is the last time I, was
Yeah,
slim and
I'm sober.
caffeine. Exactly. But yeah, about 10 years. And it was kind of in the, and I've told this story a bit through the Freestyle channels, but, it was in the wake of my second emergency heart procedure. I had a very near death experience. Got a stent put in my widowmaker artery. I had one 3 years prior to that in my right coronary, and
Ooh.
so anytime you have cardiac issues, caffeine's not great. Now, this wasn't a situation where the doctor was like, "You can never have caffeine again," but I knew that there was just this combination of factors. People would ask you when you have a heart attack. People are like, "Well, what was it? What caused it?" And I'm like, "Well, you name it, right? I had name a risk factor. I had it, right? Runs in the family, high stress job, diet wasn't great, drinking a pot of coffee every day." And so just all of those things, I just knew, I had this sense that, I was already kind of on edge about my heart. Once you've had a heart attack, everything you feel in your chest, you think
Yeah.
is the next one, right?
Yeah.
And so that causes anxiety, and so drinking coffee the way I was caused heartburn, caused more indigestion, caused my anxiety to be higher, and I just kind of felt like the caffeine being like the catalyst for all of this, right? I would think to myself, well, I don't need 8 hours of sleep because I'll just get up and slam some coffee, and then
That's
of
a
course
trap.
the caffeine sort of ensured that I didn't get 8 hours of sleep, and the sleep that I did get wasn't good sleep, wasn't really restorative sleep, and so it was just like the caffeine was just at the center of this like sort of downward spiral lifestyle that I was in. And I just came to the conclusion, like, I think that's like, if I cut that out, everything else is going to be a little bit easier to deal with. And yeah, and I was just the same as you, like just a few days in, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Now, what wasn't amazing is I went to the store, to the local grocery store, and bought a big green can of decaf Folgers.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so that wasn't
You're like,
amazing.
ashes.
Although there's still a little bit of nostalgia for me. Like when I do smell Folgers, it's it's not
Honestly, yeah.
It's not.
My grandma drinks Folgers, and every time I visit her, that's what we have. And so I get it. It's, like a crappy cup of diner coffee, like sometimes tastes good when you're like, yeah, I just want like diner coffee. But that, like 19 out of 20 days, I'm going to pass on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it just stuck right away. I just right away started feeling better, sleeping better, and just felt, just felt more alive, felt more. There was a fog, you know what I mean? I was living with kind of constant brain fog, and when that went away, it was pretty great. So
yeah, I got the brain fog too. The brain fog and just the worry about everything. Like, me being on caffeine was like having 100 tabs open in my laptop, but not knowing what was where. When I like cut out the caffeine, it's like, oh, I've got these 3 main tabs, and I've got a couple other windows for other compartments of my life that it's just like the stress of everything just got easier. Like, I don't understand. People are like, oh my God, you're decaf. I could never. It's like people literally clutch their pearls. And I'm like, girlfriend, I could never drink caffeine again. Like, I don't know how you're doing it. You're just like, no. Like, it's just so chaotic and stressful. I'm like, I want a cup of coffee that's actually going to chill me out. Like, every time people are like, oh, let's get together for a cup of coffee, it's always for something like nice and relaxing and fun. Like you're catching up with a friend, or like having coffee with my grandma. I'm like, in what situation am I like catching up with my grandmother, or like going out to a cafe with a girlfriend, and I want to be more anxious or like juiced, more stressed?
Right.
Yeah, like it's never like that. I never want to feel that way, even at work. People are like, well, what about work? Like, don't you go to the office and then you're just like scrambled? I'm like, no, I'm unscrambled. Like, I'm not running on all cylinders. Like, I'm going at a nice pace. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And that's what decaf is for me. Like, I can be on time to my meetings without having to sprint and rush and dash and jump over a hurdle. Like, I have my decaf coffee, and I'm calm, and I'm aware, and my cognition is just running at its normal, healthy rate, and it's not going up and down and up and down and up and down,
Yep. Yeah, steady is better than frantic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I tricked myself into thinking I was, I had more energy. But I really actually, I started noticing, that was another part of it too, was just noticing that it didn't help. Like, if I didn't get good sleep, I could fall asleep holding a cup of coffee, at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. And when that started happening, I was like, well, what is the point of this stuff if it literally doesn't even keep me awake anymore? Like, what?
And people love to brag about that. They're like, well, caffeine doesn't impact me. Like, I could chug it before bed and still fall asleep. And I'm like, then why have it ruin the rest of your day?
Yep.
And have it ruin all of your night. Have you talked to your doctor since your last heart operation about giving up caffeine? What are their opinions?
Yeah, actually. So I've talked to many, many doctors. After my last procedure, I was like, uh, because the doctor that did my first procedure basically just missed that I had another blocked artery. So
Oh.
I was kind of on a mission to make sure like I didn't miss anything. So I talked to lots of doctors. I had at one point I had 3 cardiologists that I was seeing regularly, uh, just just to make sure I was leaving no stone unturned. Um, and all of them said the same thing, like you're absolutely better off without caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
Most, they will strictly kind of prohibit caffeine for patients who have cardiac rhythm issues. I don't have rhythm problems, and so it wasn't the kind of thing that they would have insisted that I do. But they all said, "Hey, you don't want to add rhythm problems to your circulation
Mm-hmm.
problems, right? So best to stay off of it." They all, yeah, universally agreed that it was a good move for my health.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure caffeine also stimulates like your whole vascular system too, which is a problem with both heart attacks and strokes. I had a stroke about a year and a half ago because of an artery dissection. And while I was there, they like incidentally found a brain aneurysm. And one of the nurses, like totally joking, she was like, trying to make light of the situation because I was clearly not okay. And she was like, ha ha ha, thank God you don't have a coke addiction, like cocaine. And I was like, not funny, lady, but sure. Like, haha, thank God I've never done hard drugs. And then the other nurse chimed in and she was like, yeah, or caffeine. And I was like, what do you mean? Say more. And she was like, oh, like, she's like, caffeine's safe. I don't want to scare you, but like, I just wouldn't drink too much. And I was like, that one I'll laugh at. Like, that makes me feel good because I haven't had caffeine at that point. It had been like 5 years. And I was like, oh my God, like, I didn't know I had this brain aneurysm for however long I've had it, maybe my whole life. And I'm like, wow, I've been like taking care of myself accidentally because caffeine is just really dangerous if you have any sort of vascular problem. So yeah,
Wow.
not worth the risk. I'll never go back. And even my husband is decaf now too. You know, I'm the one who makes the coffee every morning. So I make decaf, and he noticed himself. He was like, yeah, like caffeine kind of like, you know, makes my hands shake and tremble. And he's like, I don't get that with decaf. And I'm like, oh really? Like, you don't say. Like, we removed the problem from the coffee essentially, and it's just better all around not having caffeine in it.
Yeah. Caffeine is it's what we call a vasoconstrictor, right?
Yeah.
Has similar effect to what nicotine does. Like when it's in your system, it causes your arteries to contract, right? So if you've got
Yeah.
any kind of blockage uh, anywhere in your system, caffeine's going to exacerbate that, right? If you've got blockage in an artery like I did, um, you don't want the artery constricting around that blockage and further restricting your blood flow. So, um, it really is, and it's, especially if you're talking about, um, blood flow to the brain, you're talking about much, much smaller, tiny
Yeah,
little
teeny
vessels up
tiny.
there. And so they need to, they need to stay open and flow,
Yeah.
right? That's what
Yeah.
they're for.
Your brain does need blood to be able to flow through those arteries nonstop,
Yeah.
24/7.
Pretty,
Yeah.
pretty important.
You know, I'm like, the wellness girlies are onto something because I think they've been like slowly cutting out caffeine over the last, quietly over the last 1, 2, 3 years. I think it's been like trending up, and I'm like, those girls know what they're talking about. I'm sure large scale they don't. They're like, oh, I heard one thing on TikTok one time or another, and it's incidentally better for them to be decaf. But man, like that is one area where like the the influencers have kind of nailed it. I'm like, you guys are leading the charge on this one, and thank you, because like you're making me feel like so much more cool. Like I was ahead of the trend for once.
Nice, nice. Um, well, I just finished this cup. I'm thinking I might take a quick break, make another cup. I might make a cup of this Brazil and see how that goes.
Perfect. I will finish this off and I'll join you.
All right. All right. We are back. I'm back from the espresso machine with a fresh Americano. This is our latest Brazil sample. This is a mountain water process, pulped natural process.
It smells amazing. Oh my God, I love this one. You seem medium on it, but this is, I like this better than Coastin, I think.
Ooh, careful now. No, I like this too. It's got really,
Chocolate.
it's just not something that I like to say, but it's really good mouthfeel. Like it just feels smooth. Yeah, definitely has more chocolatier vibes than. I mean, it makes that Peru we just tasted feel very flat to me. This just has a lot more
Body.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. This is Brad, we like have to have this in the lineup. I don't know how we couldn't.
This is really good.
This is so good. This is so good. Like this feels like a medium roast to me. Like this, it's, oh my God. I love this one.
I mean, it does feel like the roast is spot on for this bean. Yeah, I really like this a lot.
Caramel, chocolate. It's also a little nutty. This has, man, this is good. So how did you make your Americano? Tell me, what are your measurements? What are you grinding at? What's your setup over there?
It's 18 grams. It is it's pretty fine. This setup that we have has a on the it's got a what's the word I'm looking for? Integrated burr grinder. And it's got some sort of presets on it, and there's just a optimal espresso preset that I use. I don't actually know like what the measurement on the grind is, but it's pretty fine. And yeah, just we got the cool little electronic scale cup that just measures it right out at 18 grams.
Oh, you're fancy.
Yeah, we're getting fancy. Here, actually, I'm gonna grab it. Hold on one second. This will be fun. In case I get to show off all my new toys.
Ooh, yeah.
So, yeah. First of all, one of these. This is the dosing cup. I don't know if you can tell from. Can you see?
Yeah, it's got the little. All the little dots, the numbers.
So you pour the coffee in, and it measures it right out. And I've been wanting to do this because I keep seeing all these coffee influencers making videos where they're using these things, and as if I'm supposed to know why they're using these things and what purpose they serve. So I thought it'd be fun to just kind of talk about them and actually give a little bit of explanation on what we're doing here. I just pulled this off, so I'm going to see how my puck did. One of the cheats that we're using is, this little disc that tends to help you get a little bit more consistent puck. But that is
looks
bad.
beautiful. That looks beautiful.
So
dense, even, consistent.
So Casey, tell us why is it important? Why do we care about the shape and consistency of the puck?
It is the same reason why you care about the consistency of your coffee grind. So you want a burr mill grinder, ideally, which you have. I also just got a new one this year. I'm so psyched about it. Because a burr grinder, what it's going to do is it's going to crush the coffee beans instead of an electric blade, which just slices the beans. So like if you have an electric grinder, it's basically like a really tiny blender. So you put your beans in there, it's got a blade at the bottom, you hit go and the blade just spins around like a lawnmower and just like chops your coffee bean up into tiny little pieces. And why that's not good enough for people like us is the anatomy of a coffee bean is the flavors and the amino acids within a coffee bean are all laid out in different parts of the coffee bean. You know, just like, you know, on my human body, my hands are at the ends of my arms and my feet are at the ends of my legs. Within a bean, the sugar, for example, is mostly within that deep vein of the bean. And then you've got other flavors and flavonoids in the heart of the bean. So when you're slicing it, you're not really integrating all of the different flavor profiles together. You're just kind of chopping it up, and then you've got, you know, your sweets over here, your bitter over here, your earthy over here, and you're not going to get a really consistent cup. It would be like making a smoothie, but not blending up your blueberries with the rest of it and just throwing them in at the end. You know, it doesn't make sense. So a burr mill grinder is going to crush the beans. So you're going to break up every single part of the bean and mix them together. And it's the same thing with your puck. So when you put your perfectly ground grinds in, you're going to tamp it down. You want to tamp it to make it flat all the way across. It's like you don't want there to be any hills or valleys or mountains at all. No mountains in your in your espresso handle. You want to make it nice and flat so that when the water comes out, and you know you're using an espresso machine, there's going to be highly pressurized water, and also the water pressure is something else that should be really extremely consistent. It is going to push, if your puck is consistently dense from one end to the other, when you're forcing the water through there, it's going to pull the same amount of flavor and the same flavor profiles from every area within the puck. And so you're going to get a consistent cup. It's not going to be like, this sip's a little caramely, this sip's a little nutty. Like that's going to make your cup of coffee feel unbalanced. So yeah, the more evenly dense your puck is, the more balanced your cup of coffee is going to be.
And this little I think shower screen is what we call this. And I don't know if you can see, but there are tiny little holes in that.
Yep.
And that just makes sure we get an even distribution of the water throughout our grounds, and that it extracts as much flavor as possible, right? This is one of the reasons that your espresso is going to taste better, creamier, stronger than your drip coffee is that consistency, right? A drip coffee, your little countertop coffee maker is just dripping, drip into one spot, usually right in the middle of the basket.
And they're big, heavy drops too. It's not like it's a fine mist. It's just like clop, 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 like standing under a gutter.
So this is the portafilter, right? And you want there to be as much coffee as you can get in this thing, and still have it fit neatly into the group head. And so I didn't really understand this until recently. I see all these people having these scales, and I'm like, well, why do you care how much your coffee weighs? But the handiness of this is I know that it takes exactly 18 grams of coffee to fill this portafilter up to the max and get it nice and compact and compressed in there. If you put too much in, it won't fit. If you put too little in, then the water isn't going to be forced through the grounds evenly. It's actually going to float in there. And that's why we're proud of our pucks, because if you do that, this thing doesn't form into a nice little cake. It just comes out as a bunch of slop, right?
And that goes back to your mouthfeel. Like it's not going to be muddy. It's not going to be sludgy. It's not going to be watery. Mm-hmm. That's how you get your mouthfeel.
Yep. So we got two little things here that kind of lead up to that compaction. We get that we do the scale, we weigh it out, and then I've been using this little I don't even know what you call this little rim that basically makes it so that when the grounds are coming out of the grinder, they don't spill, right? It just kind of keeps them in the middle and lets us. And this is one of the when you don't have one of these, I see people frequently underfilling the portafilter because they're afraid the grounds are going to spill out. Well, if you have this, you don't have to worry about it, and then you can just kind of pop that, and flatten it out a little bit, and then this little guy, which is a ton of fun, just lets you sort of get it nice and evenly distributed, so you don't have any any spots that are too clumpy before you tamp it down with the tamper. And we even got this little cheater. I don't know if you can see there.
Oh yeah.
It's actually got, this is like, I don't know, for the gearheads out there, it's kind of like it's like a torque wrench, right? It measures the amount of pressure, and you can set it to tamp down to a certain pressure. Get the pressure.
Yeah, that's like cheating. Like. Back in the day, I just had to remember like how much elbow grease to put in there, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we have one of those too.
Back in 2011.
So this thing, I mean, I feel like, I have a cheap espresso machine, but I feel like a pro just with these few little tools here. And I'm getting perfect espressos every time, which is super fun.
Yeah. Are you measuring your output?
I'm not. I probably should. Should.
That's a big part of the equation. That's like what counterculture drilled into us. I don't remember because I don't have a home espresso machine.
We have to
the
fix
exact
that.
Equation. What was that?
I said we have to fix that.
Yeah. Because there's like the special equation, like the input versus the output, and you can like get your group head perfectly timed and the water pressure exactly timed to where like in the morning we would come in and like if you were the barista, the barista manager that day, it would be your job to set all of the group heads where you would basically you'd sit there and pull like 10 or 12 shots in a row, and you'd measure how many grounds of espresso you're putting in. You start it, you would time it, how long the espresso machine is going to run while you're also weighing the output. And gosh, then there was a 36 in there. I'm sure of it, but we would measure how many grams of coffee went in. It would run for, I think it was 21 seconds, and 21 seconds of water pressure will get you exactly 36 grams of espresso liquid output. And that was like the magic sweet spot for us. And so we would like run it under each group head time after time after time, so that if we ever got like a rush and it was like there's 30 people backed up out the door of the shop, like you could just run it to 21 seconds and you could trust that 21 seconds was going to give you like 36 grams of espresso. Wow. So that was kind of like a cheat for us, just in case we ever got too busy, that we weren't like skipping out on quality.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should measure that. Figure out what our output is. It seems pretty consistent.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what matters more than anything, is that you're enjoying it. But coffee does have a lot of math in it, like for my Chemex every morning, I do however many grams of coffee I put in, you multiply it by 17, and that's how much water you put in. So that's how I figure out, how much water. I'm not just like eyeballing it. Like I'm measuring and weighing at every single step, timing everything, and making sure that it's going to come out perfect, because I don't want it to be too bold or too weak. I don't want, as delicious as that Peru coffee was, I don't want my coffee tasting like tea. So I'm like, I need to make sure I get that sweet spot. And usually for most people, it's like 16 to 18 is the ratio, 1 to 16, 17, or 18. I'm like right in the middle of that sweet spot. I like it at a 1 to 17 ratio from coffee to water. So that's how I make my Chemex every morning. Measuring.
I probably need to be a little more scientific about that. I know that a double shot of espresso in one of these mugs and water up to an inch below the rim here. Makes a pretty good Americano.
Got a
but I
tape measure
probably
out
should-
there. You're dunking it in the cup.
Well, I've got a finger I can use to measure, but yeah, I probably should get a little bit more scientific about that, but I haven't yet.
You're just not at that level of nerdiness yet, but you're getting
quite.
there.
I'm getting there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is this Brazil coffee I mentioned. This is pulped natural process. So we talk a lot about the decaffeination process. We don't talk a lot about the emaciating or the drying process. This process, they remove the skin of the cherry, but not all of the fruit. And so these beans dry with the fruit still on the cherry. They call that the mucilage. But that's what kind of gives it, supposedly, this sort of creamier mouthfeel because they leave that fruit on the cherry for 2 weeks while they're drying these beans out. So it dries a little bit slower that way.
Do you know what the process was for that Peru?
Great question.
Because it was just so wildly different from this coffee. I'm sure it was not the Musa, Metamucil. What?
The pulped natural mucilage.
Mucilage.
Yeah, give me just 1 second. I'm probably saying that wrong, but
I'm a real beverage person, like end to end. I will get obsessed with any type of drink. You know, at any given time, I'm like, I've got a matcha and a decaf coffee and a water and, you know, something else. And coffee, like the more you learn about coffee, the more you discover that it is just like wine. You know, like you're talking about, like, oh, removing the skins from the fruit and steeping it with or without. Yep. Like, oh, that's the difference between a red wine or a white wine, or the acidity of the soil, or the elevation of the vineyard versus the elevation of the coffee trees. Like, so much in line there. Like, there's a lot to nerd out about here. And I feel like coffee kind of gets the short end of the stick because, you know, within the wine industry, the food and beverage industry, you've got sommeliers, and on top of sommeliers, you've got like different levels of sommeliers and all of these different certifications and obsessions. And like, there are like books and books and books, and you know, you can get completely famous from being a wino, like Kevin's Rally, Windows on the World. Like, why doesn't coffee have that same level of, I would call it intellectualism, where people sort of fantasize and obsess over the intellectualism of wine? Like, we don't get that in coffee, and that's kind of sad because there's a very strong parallel there.
There's a word for this idea of the different geography and microclimate affecting the flavors and the sort of art of, you know, what sommeliers do, right? Understanding all of these factors of the processes and the geography that go into shaping the flavor of a wine. All of those things are true for coffee as well, right?
Yeah.
And we like, you know, kind of obsess about it with wine. And there's so many people who, you know, just go to school for fun to learn about this stuff with wine. And it's all there for coffee as well. It's absolutely the same thing. The only difference is, you know, with coffee, we dry it out and then we have to rehydrate it to get it into our bodies. But it is really,
yeah, coffee's actually,
really the same.
I would argue, more interesting in that way because part of the process happens by the consumer. You know, wine, it's like fully in a bottle. All you have to do is open it up and pour it. Like coffee, it's like the first 80% is done for you, but the last 20%, like you have to grind it, you have to heat the water. The water temperature will impact what flavor profiles like it brings out of your grinds, etc. It's like coffee consumers who like do it the right way are so much more in control of the end beverage that they end up consuming, which is like really fun because you get to experiment, what water temperatures, what grind, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Just remembered the word I was looking. Terroir. 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 That's the
I
word.
thought it was just snob.
Terroir is the word that sort of means like the impact of the soil content, the microclimate, the altitude, all those things, how the earth shapes the flavor of the thing. But that's a word that, sommeliers would use, but we don't use very often in talking about coffee. So there's your second big word for the day: terroir and mucilage. Mucilage. Those are our words.
I don't speak French. Maybe I should.
Yeah. But getting back to your question about process, that Peru process, they just call it washed.
Just washed. Okay,
washed.
We don't even know.
Yeah, washed or wet milled, and I think literally what that means is they pick the cherries off the tree and lay them all out and just take a power washer to them, and it just strips all the fruit off of the cherry.
Interesting.
And so they dry. It allows the air to get straight to the cherry quicker. So it's probably faster, more efficient, but takes a little bit of the complexity out of the flavor.
Yeah, a little less rich.
All right, so I'm at the bottom of this cup of Serra Negra Brazil coffee that we really enjoyed. We're gonna give this one a really, really close look.
5 stars.
I really did like this. Yeah, this is a little bit closer to kind of my favorite flavor profiles. A little chocolatier, a little nuttier. Really, really good stuff. So thank you for enjoying it with me, Casey. Thanks to our listeners for tuning in. Please make sure to subscribe and listen next time. We're going to keep more coffee content coming your way. But for now, for Casey and myself, we're the Decaffeinados. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, guys.